Hello, this is Eddie with Fast Eddies. Um, I'm putting this regulator on, and the reason why I'm putting this regulator on is, well, I'm running rich, which is, I guess, probably not a good reason at this point. But my thought was, I thought I had there's another regulator that they have on these fuel rails where the, I don't know, where your your vacuum port on the regulator, it actually points up, and it has a smaller um, port. What I was thinking was, I'm running rich because I had too much pressure against the against the injectors. I kind of just, as you most of you guys probably know, I just got this truck. Okay, um, the I drove it around for a couple of days. Fuel pump went out in it, and it had a lean code before the fuel pump went out. Replaced fuel pump. I put one of those, uh, the ones that Matt Happel recommends for for the turbos. Whenever you're going to put a turbo on, because I'd like to do it eventually, but I'm making baby steps with this. Um, I figure replace broken parts with, if I'm going to spend the money on the parts, might as well put the parts that I'm going to have to put on for the turbos. So I had a bad fuel pump, replace fuel pump, right? Okay, well, put the good one on it. So I put the 450 in it. And after I got it all back together, it's running rich on both banks. So I don't know where to go with that just yet. I went, before I started hooking this up, before I pulled that regulator and gutted it, I went ahead and checked my pressures, and I think it's right. It's about 52. It's 52 psi under vacuum, and then if you pull the vacuum on it, it goes up to 60. So I think my pressures are right. But here's the deal. I've already got this regulator. I'm going to use it. There's no reason not to just go ahead and hook it up. Okay. But I got my gauge hooked up, my pressure gauge hooked up. I've already got my regulator mounted on the firewall here. I'm just going to go ahead and and I've also already pulled this, the regulator on this, and what I did is I cut the center portion of it out. I left the diaphragm in place so that the diaphragm will keep the metal part of it sealed up so it don't leak. But I pulled the part where the fuel flows through, the actual valving part of it. I cut that part out. I used a little Dremel tool. It's just got like 4 pieces of metal there. I just cut the piece of metal and left the flange of the regulator in place. So what it is, it's got actually a 5/16 hole down the center, so everything will flow like it's supposed to. And then where my regulator's mounted here, I'm in a perfect place to just go ahead and hook up my vacuum to this. Isn't that smooth? Alright. So I got my vacuums connected to the other regulator. And I'm sure if you hadn't seen my other video, and like I said, this thing did flow right after I did it. But I've already bought this regulator. I'm going to put it on. I don't think that there was any problem with this regulator. Now that I've looked at this, I think I got another problem with my reason why it's running rich. I'm wondering if somehow maybe they tuned it. Because it only has 2 O2 sensors on it, and the VATS has been removed. there's no transponder key, so I already know that. It's had a computer put on it. It's been tuned. Something's been done with it, and I'm wondering if it's been tuned with a bad fuel pump at this point, because it's both banks and they're equal. It's both banks are down and both banks are, it's both of them are in the red. So. And once I got this done, when I gutted that and I put it back on, it drops the fuel pressure on the lines to 40 psi. I was watching it right here. It drops it to 40 psi, which here we can. I don't know if maybe you guys can see it, but we're gonna try here. Hopefully you guys can see that. It comes up to about 40 psi. So I know it's the rail. So basically, by removing that, gutting that out, it keeps the rail run continuous 40 psi. At the lowest point. All right. And then you regulate it. You can build your pressure higher with the regulator on this side. You can basically put a dam in the wall, and that's how you build your pressures. Basically, that's what the regulators are for. They dam the wall up, and that's what that's how they control the pressure on these. They basically dam up the wall, and everything before the regulator runs a certain pressure. And that's why I was talking about that port. If that port's not big enough, you've created a dam in the wall that's not controlled. The spring and the valve should control the pressure. Probably, and obviously, I think 40 psi is a good low. For the lowest point, I think that's an okay low. I would like, maybe 35 or something like that. But then it's going to be controlled from once we get this hooked up and everything. We'll be able to set the regulator to our desired pressure. Okay. In other words, we'll be able to dam the wall up, and the pressure will go higher. But we still first we want to be able to move the fuel, so that we know that the regulator is actually controlling everything. If you've got a dam that blocks everything up, to like 50 psi, you got a regulator that blocks it up to 50 psi, and then you start tuning on it, and then what you do is you drop your injectors. Okay, your injectors start opening up. Okay, and then what happens is your pressure drops, because you're working on just a non-regulated hole. Basically, there's no. In other words, the dam just has a hole. It's not like it's putting something in the hole to stop it, so that you keep the same pressure. And that's the problem with not having enough of a hole in the regulator itself. That's why we did the drill out on it. I've seen some people on there that were complaining about them not having the lowest PSI would run was like 70 or something like that. And that's why. That right there is why. Alright, we're going to get this return line off. Save that. case you need it. Again, guys, I need the subscribers, so you get this. You know, if this is any kind of help to you, maybe helps you on your way. I really need subscribers, so please sub. Need a stool or something. Probably blocking you guys. Sorry. Alright. She's loose. Alright, I think I got the line set up here. Now I just put the ones that went with it. These right here, if you look here, that's just a push in. Oh, I'm messing with the phone now. I'm gonna mess it up too much. Well, anyway, that spot right there, okay. That's right there. All those ports right there are just to push in. There's no pin or anything in there. I pushed this one in. It's not as loose. Okay. Now, what I'm talking about, Matt, I'm not trying to challenge him at all. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, I don't know. I'm trying to share information like he shares information. I think that if somebody was able to help that man on anything, I think that it would be awesome. So. All right. That was easy. Easy. And that's cool. That's where the pressure is. Does it lose pressure? It does lose pressure. Not as bad as what it was. Alright. I can't help it, this is going to be loud, but I'm going to go ahead and show you everything from here. I'll probably just add some music. So, but I want to show you guys the pressures and stuff here as I'm doing this. almost 60 there. We're sitting on 50. What I imagine you probably should do is tune this for the dropout pressure. So that 60 is what you're trying to achieve. There it is, 60 right on the money. Alright, set it and forget it. If you look down here, it's all sealed. Now I'll tell you, I'm gonna turn this off. I'll turn it down to you guys again. Okay, now before I bolted this up and everything, I air checked this. Okay, so I already had a preset on it for 50. Okay, if I didn't have the preset on it, it would have been at 40, because I made sure that it dropped out lower than what I wanted. I made sure I had room for that regulator to do its job. Yeah, but I think that's it. Nice job well done on that one. Again, guys, subscribe, please. If I've been of any kind of help for you, just, you click that. Please click that subscribe button. There's one more thing that I need to add to this on that regulator. You need to adjust that regulator for your target pressure. When I say this, if you've got a turbo, okay, if you're running extra pressure, you need to load that regulator up with the projected PSI, and then set your target PSI for your fuel. Okay, don't just set it for 50 on the low side and expect it to be, your target pressure on the high side. You need to set your target on the high side and then let it kind of float out at the bottom side is what I would do. I don't think that regulator is going to do the full range with that spring, and also that diaphragm, I think, is hanging up a little bit. Like I said, I think it probably use an air motor diaphragm would fix a lot of that. Even just putting it back together, I noticed it wasn't. Even when I took it apart and when I put it back together, I noticed that diaphragm wasn't exactly what I'd like to have seen. I know a little bit about regulators because I deal with gas, natural gas, and propane. So I get how you're what I understand what I'm supposed to see from a regulator whenever I look at them. Okay, regardless if it's on a truck or natural, or if it's for water, or the point is you need to be adjusting the stuff for your target pressures. What it's going to be like when you have it under pressure, when you need the pressure. Okay, not when you're backed off, because the back off side is going to, I don't know, it'll float out a little bit. I mean, because even when this thing's idling, I mean, it's not gonna. If I had my target pressure for 70 psi, if I had like running 10 psi or something like that, a boost or something like that, then what I'd do is I'd take another regulator and regulate my on my vacuum side. I would put 10 psi on that, and then set my fuel while it's running at my 70 psi, so that I know whenever when I'm into the boost, that it would have the right pressure. And the reason why I'm bringing all that up is because I've watched. I think Sloppy the Mechanic is an awesome channel, and I love watching those videos. And obviously, I'm going to try to copy a lot of what he's doing on my own stuff. But and he has so much information, it's just unreal. But he always has problems on the top side, on that very end. It's almost like he doesn't have enough pressure. And after seeing the regulator, because I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the same style regulator that he's using. I don't know if he got an Aero Motive or if it was a China regulator on this one, but I can't remember. I've watched too many of them. Um, but if it's the same China regulator, then that would be why that whenever he gets up at the top of the boost, he's having issues there. Which I bet you that I wonder, after he sees this, I wonder if he's just gonna go like, oh, and be one of those things. I hope it is, and he maybe gets a little bit more out of his his setup. All right, but anyway, so I almost wonder if it's just that regulator's not producing the pressure at that psi, and whenever he gets up at the high stuff, because I mean, and the thing is, if you have more, um, pump behind it, obviously it's gonna, you know, run linearly. You're gonna have enough fuel. And if he adds a pump, because if I showed you that port of that pump, and if it's running on that valve, then linearly it goes up. The pressure goes up linearly. Okay, and not building it with the regulator. You see what I'm saying? It goes up. It goes up because of an orifice, okay, slowing things down, not because of a valve slowing things down. The best way to explain it, I guess. You need that to where the valve slows it down, not the orifice of the valve. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, doing all this about that. But hopefully this helps. Um, Anybody that's been messing with this stuff. Maybe I'm not even the first person to bring this up, but hopefully I'm helpful. That's all I try for. Um, but yeah,